Sorry, summer 2030. Summer 2030. Gone the wrong way.
Episode loading. Play. You are listening to Freshly Squeezed.
Ben was playing five-a-side in London and Fred again put a terrible challenge in on him.
Yeah, he's a bad guy.
Pineapple.
Hello, how you doing? I'm Jim. This is my favourite time of the week. Even if it's not your favourite time of the week, it's a highlight for me. It's the time when I get to introduce you to a load of brand new music with the latest episode of Freshly Squeezed, a new music podcast. Thanks for listening. You are doing a good thing, and thank you for spreading the word as well. The more people we get listening to this podcast, the better it is for the bands that feature, and let's face it, it ain't easy to get new music heard in the UK or anywhere in the world right now. So, who is featuring on this episode of Freshly Squeezed? Well, I'm going to be speaking in a bit to the brand newly signed Manchester band Rosellas.
In the eyes of the world.
Checking in with pop punkers Lunar Hijack about their brand new tune Worlds Collide.
'Cause now I know I'm waiting for the right time. I wrote it down, everything you said.
And this is pretty big. There is a brand new album in the world from Sports Team that dropped last week. The lads are going to be joining me on the podcast to celebrate and play their favourite tune from that album.
I used to say, Ronnie, oh, this is not a game to me.
Decent show. This, stick around, 3 big interviews to come, 3 big tracks to play you as well, and we start with Rosellas. I'll get Drew and Ewan on in a minute, but before I do, let's have a little bit of their brand new tune called Eyes of the World.
I fall asleep until the afternoon when I wake to find this heart of mine has filled the empty sky. Arrive on another side. In a starry night, search far and wide for you and yours and mine. In the eyes of the world, where you know I always will be. I'm gonna meet you on the astral plane where the worlds collide and hide behind my every state of mind.
Been a while since we've had new music from Rosellas. Delighted they're back, and that is an absolute peach of a brand new tune. It's called Eyes of the World, and I welcome the mighty Rosellas, or some of the mighty Rosellas, to the podcast now. Drew and Ewan are on the show. Welcome, boys. Cheers for making the time.
Nice one.
Thanks for having us.
So we're here to chat about Eyes of the World, the brand new tune. I think, and you might correct me on this, I think this is the first single since signing the deal with First Run Records. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Is it one of those moments where you sign your first deal as a band where you kind of just take that little pause, take stock of where you are and where you've been and kind of where you've got to? Is it like that moment of reflection? Did you have that?
Have we had that yet, Ewan? I don't know.
We had it. I think we had it in the first 10 minutes of that 4-hour journey up to Glasgow.
Yeah, because we had to go to Glasgow.
No, it was. Yeah, you are right. It was a bit of a. It was a nice feeling. You know, it kind of felt everything was justified at that point. Like everything that we've done has been leading up to that point. And yeah, as I said, it felt really good.
I found an interview that you boys did back in January of 2021, and in that interview, you were asked where you'd be in 5 years' time, so January 2026. What do you think you said at that point?
I've absolutely no idea. Probably trying to be funny. Unless we said we'd be signed to First Run and we'd have a song called Eyes of the World.
That would be incredible. That would be real foresight if you saw that one coming. So the quote from the interview is, "I'd like to be on holiday in the Maldives or something. Early retirement, fame and fortune achieved, and the tunes
That was
on the
definitely you, Drew.
Yeah, you can tell.
and the tunes on the shelves of HMV for decades to come." So, right, that was the ambition 5 years ago. How far do you think you're off that now?
Drew, you answer that because you said it. I want nothing to do with that quote.
No, it's obviously half light-hearted, isn't it? But we're on our way, man. I think, like Ewan said, the fact that this deal is now in the bag it does feel like a justification of all the hard work up to this point, and selling out the academy gig and on to bigger and better things after that. We've waited quite a while as well to put new music out. Like the last time we released a new song was Is It Any Wonder back in February 24. Obviously we put the live version out later in the year, but I think just the fact that new music is coming out, the deal's signed, gigs are looking up, the ball is rolling again. I think we're closer to that than we might have thought we were if we hadn't heard that quote, if you know what I mean.
So I'm going to ask you at the end of this chat today where you think you'll be in another 5 years. So 2030. So you can ponder that for a few minutes and we'll come back to it in a moment. But first new music in a little while you just released. You've signed a record deal. It feels like the first page of a new chapter for Rosellas. What's that mean with the music going forward? Is there a change in style? Is there a new musical direction? Are you sticking with what's got you this far to date? Where are you going with it?
That is a good question, actually. I think this EP this song in particular is more direct. I think that's the message that me and Drew have tried to, with each other in our writing, get across. And with the songs themselves, it's more direct. There's more purpose to it. A lot of the songs that we've released in the past have been kind of 6-7 minute long ones that you stick on and forget about kind of thing. Our writing has changed for this EP and any songs going forward is it feels more direct. There's more purpose to it. It's more intentional. I think this is the best stuff we've ever done. Like you said, then a new chapter. It really does feel like that.
For me, I guess when I heard it, what I got from it, I thought it feels, for want of a better word, and you guys can probably put it in a far more eloquent way than I can, but it felt kind of classic. It felt like you were leaning into the noughties indie feel a little bit and kind of taking away what makes a good indie pop song.
Yeah, that's sure.
I think agreeing with what you said, a minute ago about it being more direct and that comes across as well in the production. So how you're picking up there, Jim, on like that noughties kind of indie, a lot of that's coming through in the guitar tone. And when we were in the studio in the past, we've been a very layer heavy band. Do you know what I mean? Like, because we all contribute good sonic things to the recording process. We're just like, yeah, we'll have that. And before you know it, the mix is very busy. And I think with this, like me and you did with the songwriting, we took a step back and we were more intentional with the parts and what each other was playing, where they were going, and definitely the tonality of it. Like you'll hear as well in the second single, a bit of that indie noughties guitar-esque tone comes through. But then there are tunes in the EP as well that have a bit more of that, almost like the way that we interpret our psychedelic influences, mine and Ewan's influences of like Pink Floyd and a bit of the War on Drugs and stuff like, when you had Atmosphere, some of that comes later in the EP.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like you said, we took a lot away from it, as opposed to adding, layer upon layer of sounds. Everything that's in there needs to be in there. Whereas I think we've been guilty in the past of like, just another solo, bit of keyboard, right? Just another harmony, right? Okay. And then at the end you think, I don't even know what this song is anymore.
No, I get what you mean. It's like, I mean, using Oasis as an example, when you look at their first two records, the tunes are really simple and they really kind of came across and you kind of got the meaning and you heard the lyrics more. You take it to album number 3 when they had a bit of money and they just layered and Noel Gallagher had his kind of crazy cocaine-filled album. It kind of like it got.
Yeah, I mean we've gone completely the other way. Our cocaine-filled albums have already gone. We're just going to write really boring music now.
Do you find that you have to hold yourselves back with that a little bit because you are all proper musicians? Like you've dabbled with the Royal Philharmonic. Mark studied at the Royal Northern College of Music. Do you find like the temptation is there? You just want to build and build and build, but actually you have to kind of go, hang on, that's enough. Are there versions of this song on MacBooks somewhere that are kind of that deep layered stuff?
I think when you get to a level of sort of musical ability where you realise that quality is in what you don't play, not necessarily what you do play. And I can speak for myself as a guitar player. Someone that I idolise is, like Dave Gilmour, Mark Knopfler and his solo stuff and all that. If you listen to the way that they play guitar, it's the space that they leave. And even Adam Granduskil in the War on Drugs, it's all very intentional. Of course, if I wanted to, I could sit there and do a 5-minute solo every tune. At this point, it's only bloody Before the Storm that has that. But I could sit there and do that, but I don't want to because no one else wants to listen to that. And I don't need to kind of say, oh, look at me, I can do this. If a song just needs a little bit here and a little bit there, it serves the song better, then we do it. And I think that comes across in the writing. I think it comes across in the piano that's in there. Even Mark's drumming, man, you mentioned it, like Mark is a machine on the drums, and in the records, he just plays what serves the song. And I think that is a beautiful balance that we've really started to achieve, especially in this EP.
Boys, you've got me really excited for the new EP when it comes. I'm really enjoying the new tune, Eyes of the World, as well. We'll get it on Freshly Squeezed in a moment. But before I do that, take me to summer 2030.
Oh. I don't want this to come back in another interview in 5 years and someone say, "Oh, you never guess what you said." 2030. So when's that? 5 years. We want to be big, playing Glastonbury and deserving to be there. Have a couple of albums out by then. Be, where we think we deserve to be. I hope it don't come back to bite me, but we'll be, big and playing, regularly at festivals, regularly, big venues up and down the country. Keep doing interviews like this, Jim, with you.
That's a very politically correct answer, Ewan.
I'm careful because I didn't realise people look through.
Jim Salverson does.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a big open air gig in Manchester would be good. A big thing in Manchester, whether it be at that point Wivenshaw Park, Heaton Park, or even something a bit smaller, like just to be able to say, we've done a 30,000, a 45, 50,000, whatever it is in Manchester. I think that would be obscene.
Good ambition. I will put a note in the diary to speak to you in 5 years' time. We can check out exactly where it's at.
Yeah, in reality, we won't be together by then.
Yeah, you would have fallen out over the answer to that question.
Yeah. This is the beginning of the end.
Yeah, I'll be in the Maldives. No,
He'll be in the Maldives with I'll be working at HMV, putting his singles on the shows.
Nice one, boys. Really appreciate your time and looking forward to seeing what happens over the next few months.
yeah,
Thank you, Jim.
nice one.
Thank you, SS Rosellas. I can confirm that came through loud and clear, loud and clear.
Captain on the bridge.
Everyone at their stations, please. Mr. McGinley, can you please make sure that sports team are lined up and ready to go? Please confirm that we have comms with sports team.
Well, it would be illogical to not have comms on a podcast, Captain. Sports team are 8 minutes from the rendezvous.
Well, are we on course for Worlds Collide?
Course locked in, and we can, for once, actually give it more power.
In that case, we are ready to speak to Lunar Hijack in orbit around the UK. Lunar Hijack, come in. Lunar Hijack, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Thanks for taking the time. For those listening back on Terra Firma, this is a band for fans of Sum 41, for Blink 182, for Newfound Glory, All Time Low. How am I doing here in terms of naming your influences? Am I boxing them off?
Yeah, pretty much all of the above, to be honest, and more.
Where does that come from? Is that the bands you grew up with? Because of those bands, kind of their heyday was, I guess, kind of that early noughties period, maybe slightly the late 90s. Were they the kind of bands you were listening to back then?
Yeah, so when myself and probably the rest of the guys in my band as well, when we were sort of, 13, 14 in our first bands, Enema of the State had just come out, for example. So these were just all the bands that were really inspiring for us. And yeah, definitely all the ones you've mentioned, yeah.
So as a band, Lunar Hijack started, as so many bands did that are kind of getting to that point where they're starting to take stuff seriously now. You started as a bit of a pandemic project. You followed that up with just jamming with your mates. Do you remember that point? Do you remember the turning point where it went from being something that was to pass the time, something that was a bit of fun, to it being like a proper thing?
If I'm totally honest with you, I don't think there was a specific turning point where we thought, oh, this is it. We always just wanted to do it for a laugh and just have fun, because we love making music, playing music together, and obviously playing shows as well. But I think as we look back over the last, I guess it's 3 years? I don't know, something like that. It's just naturally progressed into something a little bit more. And we always just say, like, we just want it to be fun, and it continues to be fun. So, we just keep going, sort of thing, really.
Is that what will remain front and centre for you as a band? Does it need to stay fun? Because sometimes when it gets a bit serious, that can be exactly the opposite. When you've suddenly got agents asking you to do things or labels telling you to do things, that's when the fun stops.
Well, if labels do start getting involved, then I guess we'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it. But
It's a nice sacrifice to make, isn't it? It's a nice choice.
yeah. But if it starts getting to a point where it's like, this is a bit stressful, but we've got a good record label, so I don't know. No, it's like with us, I think it's just like we're very much sort of in the moment. We don't look too far ahead. We've got a headline show coming up in a couple of weeks, and that's kind of as far ahead as we look. Yeah, it's really nice to be in this band. All of the guys in Lunar Hijack, we've all been in bands for a long time. We've toured and stuff, so we're kind of fairly experienced and we know how it all works. So it's a really easy band to be in.
What do you think it is about those experiences with being in bands for a while that kind of makes this project work?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think it's about having the right mix of people. I think it's about all being on the same page. And we're in, we're no spring chickens anymore. We're not teenagers. We've got bills. Like, some of the guys have families and stuff, and I guess it puts it in perspective. Like, we're very comfortable saying that for us, the band can't be the most important thing in the world. There are other things that are more important. So I think it keeps us fairly humble. We're just having a laugh, but we play some music as well.
There's two things that I think really stand out about your music that I really like. One is that kind of juxtaposition, and this is kind of a hallmark of punk pop and that scene. It's the juxtaposition, like big bouncy music and sometimes dark, serious subjects like tackling issues. That's one thing. But the other thing that I think really makes it stand out, it's got that West Coast sunshine sound, the bands that we referenced out of Blink-182, but also it's got this West Midlands tinge to it, because you can just about hear that kind of Birmingham area accent creeping through. Was it important for you as a band to keep that local identity to your music rather than just mimicking those sounds from across the pond?
Yeah, I think what it comes down to is really just a couple of things, really. I think the first thing is it's really important to be authentic, and that's what we do. 2000s pop punk music probably isn't as popular as it used to be. That's absolutely fine. We ain't going to change. And the other thing was, it's funny you mentioned about the accent thing, because when I started, I used to be in a band. My first band was called 0.6, and we were like 14, 15 years old. I used to sing in an American accent, and people used to go, "Why do you sing an American accent?" I was like, I don't. I did. And then I really overdid it to not sound American. Like, I was like proper, like from like Watford or something. But now, since recording during the pandemic, I was able to sort of, like, bit of a cliche thing to say, but like I kind of found my voice, and I'm able to just kind of sing in, or attempt to sing in, my own style. So I think that's really important.
So we're going to play Worlds Collide, brand new tune from you guys, absolute banger. Tell me a little bit about it before we get it on.
So Worlds Collide, well, we put a lot of time, a lot of work, a lot of energy into this. We're really, really proud of it. I'd like to think of it as like a pop punk summer anthem. It's bouncy, it's high energy, it's happy with maybe some like sort of melancholy lyrics. Yeah, we're really proud of it.
Nice one, Scott. Looking forward to the new EP. That is coming in September. This is a good prelude to that. One small step for man, one giant leap for punk pop. We'll get your new tune on. Nice one, Scott. Cheers for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks, Jim.
This is Freshly Squeezed, and Sports Team join me on the podcast. How you doing, boys? You okay?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Hey, Jim, good to be here.
So we've got Henry and Ben joining us, talking about the brand new album from Sports Team. It's called Boys These Days. Congratulations. What's this moment like for a band? I mean, you've been here before. Is it like being a new father, but instead of showing everyone photos of your new kid, you're kind of taking your phone out in the pub and showing your page on Spotify with your new album on?
Well, I think with our first record, it came out during COVID, and even though we had that chart battle of Lady Gaga, it all felt a little bit kind of surreal and distant because we couldn't be playing live shows. So this time it's going to be really nice to actually be out there meeting people. Don't know about you, Ben.
Yeah, no, it's good to play shows around the album, meeting all the fans, like sort of signing vinyls is much better than sort of doing it over the internet, I feel.
Obviously, you've had an opportunity to play some of these songs live before the album came out. Does that kind of give you an idea of how it's going to go down once it's released into the world, when you kind of see the whites of people's eyes and their reaction to the new stuff?
I'm seeing the whites of Ben's eyes mostly because he's having to play a lot of very challenging honky tonk part records. But yeah, for sure. I think there's definitely new challenges with this one though, because it was much more of a studio record, whereas before we might have written in the room and it's kind of 6 layers: drums, guitar, bass, vocals. This one, sometimes it's like, 70 layers. So it's been a challenge to try and kind of hone that down to something we can achieve in the live environment. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how we do that.
On the record itself, you hit play on the new album, you're hit with this kind of 80s style banger, I'm in Love, which is also one of the singles off the album. And it's got this like sax solo at the beginning of it as well. It feels like it's a real statement of intent from the band. Was that the intention of releasing that as a single, but also putting that first on the album, that you're kind of going, look, this might be a slightly different gravy to what we've done before?
Yeah, big time. We don't want to be pigeonholed as just a kind of like indie rock guitar band. Rob particularly was very into 80s bands like Prefab Sprout ahead of the writing process for this record, and I think wanted to showcase those other influences as well. Yeah, I think definitely maybe surprise some people when we put that one out. That could be a good thing as well, Yeah,
definitely. I mean, what's prompted this change? Because I think as a band, whenever they release an album, you'll always go, oh, it's a bit of a shift. We're doing something different. We're changing this. But ultimately, it very rarely is. This does feel like a proper change to what you've done before. It feels like a proper move. So what has kind of inspired you to do that and take that direction with this album?
I think when you're in the process of demoing songs, there's tens and sometimes hundreds of songs that you've got, and you sort of knock around which ones feel the best at the time. So I guess it's whatever you feel like gives you the best feeling when you're trying to record it or listening to it back.
I'd say also this record we worked with a different producer, Matthias Tellers in Norway, and so that was quite a different process as well. Whereas with Burke before, it was very much capturing the vibe in the room. This was like, okay, you can bring in a string section. So it was nice to play around with that.
It's quite an eclectic collection of songs, I think. There's a lot going on. Like I said, I'm in Love feels very 80s.
With a street light starting to glow, and the showrunner's late to the set, and the starlet's sharing his bed, and the
Bang Bang has got this kind of Tarantino style thing going on.
bang, 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 bang.
Sensible, which is my favourite track, by the way. I really like Sensible. It's got this kind of noughties indie feel to it.
We're all so sensible, we're all so sensible, we're all so sensibly know the bed's on fire, and we go to sleep.
How do you take all those styles and all those influences and all those sounds and build something that is, as an album, it kind of hangs together, and also something that sounds like Sports Team?
I think with Alex Rice's signature vocals, everything definitely sounds like Sports Team. But no, pointing to the kind of the breadth of genres, I suppose we're kind of bombarded with different images and sounds ourselves every day when we log on, and maybe it captures a bit of that sort of churn.
I want to pick up on one of those themes because in the PR to the last single, Sensible, you describe Fred Again as your musical nemesis, and the song also contains the line, "We'll play Fred again and dance." This wasn't a musical beef that I was previously aware of. What's going on with there? What started off this rivalry with Fred Again?
Ben was playing five-a-side in London, and Fred Again put a terrible challenge in on him.
Yeah, he's a bad guy.
Are we going to see some kind of like Anchorman standoff between you guys and Fred Again at a festival or something this year backstage?
Personally, I've got nothing against him. But Ben and Fred Again, expect like a good match anytime now.
I mean, it'd be amazing if he found the time to come back and try and beat us.
He's probably too busy headlining festivals at this point.
Fair enough. Before I let you go, I just need to let you know that a few of the bands that I've had on the show recently have mentioned you directly as a band, and they've mentioned you in the context that you have a live presence and a live show that other acts tend to envy and they can tend to aspire to as well. I wanted to just know, A, were you aware of that? Did you realise that you're kind of like leading the charge for how to put on a show? And how does that make you feel, the fact that you seem to be becoming the band's live band?
I had no idea, really.
Shocked. Very shocked.
Okay.
No, we love playing live. For us, that's, you know, what it's all about. And yeah, hopefully, you know, it's never a case of going through the motions and making each night special. Yeah, we'll continue to do that.
Cool. Well, we're going to play a bit of a tune from the album. What do you fancy? What do you think on this record maybe doesn't get the love it deserves? Maybe it's not one of the singles. What do you boys really vibe off on this?
I'm going to say Bonnie, which we've actually never played live yet and hasn't been put out as a single.
Oh, yeah, I'll go with that.
All right.
Cool. We'll get it on. Nice one, Sports Team. Congratulations on the new album. Really liking it. And cheers for coming on Freshly Squeezed.
Cheers, mate.
Nice one.
I'm a big fan of Sports Team anyway, but the new album is awesome. It's a little bit off the wall, it's a little bit crazy, it's really eclectic, as I was talking to the boys a minute ago about, but it is brilliant at the same time. And that is where we finished today's episode of Freshly Squeezed, a new music podcast. Thank you for listening. Cheers to your ears. There will be more again next week when I get to introduce you to a whole load more brand new bands and brand new artists and brand new music and brand new other stuff as well. So make sure you check it out then. Make sure you come back. Make sure you're subscribed so you get the episode as soon as it's ready. If I've tickled your fancy with any of the acts in today's show, then as always, the links to them are in the podcast bio. Open the notes to this show and you'll find links to find more from the music from any of those people. But for now, we're done. I'll see you next time.
Freshly Squeezed, a new music podcast, was devised, produced and hosted by Jim Salveson. Sound design and additional production by Ant McKinley. The music, Blue Blazer, is written and produced by Spin Class. Stop.